You are watching the European Truck Racing Championship. Welcome to JARAMA. It's Spain, the sun is shining and we're in a good mood ahead of race one. We're standing here in the paddock and in the back you might see the team of Burnout. They had a recent success in Le Mans as Theo Cave won in his category and the young gun, Alia College, won in her category. Let's have a look at the pictures of Le Mans. You see Theo Cave achieving his first French title, celebrating with Bagheera and now fully focusing on JARAMA, of course. And Alia College, she took the 5th place in the national championship and dominated her categories. Female winner and winner of the Rookie of the Year ranking. And with 16 years, she was the youngest ever FIA ETRC entrant in 2020. So this team is going to compete with a third racer over here, which is of course Adam Latsko. Bagheera team represents very well as the other teams. We're ahead of race one. We had an interesting qualifying and also an incident before the qualifying, which is why we have a delay of 1 hour. But speaking of Le Mans, why shouldn't we have a look back to what happened then?
We got the race weekend at Le Mans underway. Pretty perfect conditions, not too hot, not too cold, but just right for our drivers and for their machines. Jochen Hahn miles ahead by the end after the fantastic battling that was going on behind. After a very exciting first race and a great win for Jochen Hahn, the conditions took a big turn for the worse. And another win going the way of Norbert Kish. Adam Latsko would finish second, with Sasha Lenz in 3rd place.
I think it's a nice battle. Today we have big trouble with the setup and we try something and it's still not working on the wet condition.
Yeah, I'm still shaking a little bit because it was really exciting because I could see that I can go faster and I could attack, but it's always difficult to overtake in the rain, and especially somebody like Adam who is very good in the rain.
After a fantastic first day of racing at the Le Mans Bugatti circuit, we were back for day 2 and the drivers were presented with another wet race to whet their appetites. Norbert Kish held on to a fantastic lead advantage, making the gap bigger and bigger and driving off, as he does, over the horizon from Lenz and Hahn. As ever, the drivers would want to round out the weekend with a very frantic and entertaining race, and that's exactly what we got. Andre Kurzim lit up the rear tyres despite a late charge from Shane Brereton to take his 2nd win of the season.
Shane was a little bit slower than me, and I know the gap was bigger and bigger, and yes, very great for us to win in Le Mans.
And we took the golf cart and we're right now standing in front of the medical car team. Of course, very important team members here at the ETRC. We're very gladful to have them here. I hope they will not have to do a lot of things today, to be honest. But let's celebrate truck racing. Let's celebrate the truck racing family and let's celebrate the family of Jochen Hahn. Since 25 years, he's competing in the ETRC. First trucks are going on their way. So let's celebrate his anniversary together. And it was Andreas Ahn who talked to Jochen Hahn.
Ja, Jochen, freudiger Anlass sozusagen, kann man sagen. Das Team Hahn Racing feiert 25 Jahre Jubiläum in Truck Race Sport. Als 1996 alles begann, War das abzusehen, dass es mal irgendwie auf 25 Jahre hinausläuft?
Natürlich nicht. Man hat es ja ganz wild angefangen, das war mehr oder weniger ein Lebenstraum von Conny und meinem Papa. Es ist schon brutal, wie sich das über die Jahre auch entwickelt hat. Ja. Heute sind wir ein fester Bestandteil in der Rennserie. Sind wir auch brutal stolz, wo wir angelangt sind. Und wer weiß, vielleicht reden wir in 25 Jahren wieder, mal schauen, wie alt wir werden.
Was war damals dann deine Rolle, als der Papa gefahren ist, Rennen gefahren ist? Was hast du gemacht?
Ja, gut auszusehen war so der Hauptjob. Nein, ich war ja LKW-Mechaniker. Ich war quasi der Mechaniker von Conny. Und so haben wir da damals eine Mechanikercrew zusammengestellt aus bekannten Leuten, Freunden. Ja, und dann ist es gewachsen.
Wenn man sozusagen mal den ersten großen Meilenstein nimmt mit Mercedes, welche Erinnerungen waren da? War das eine super erfolgreiche Zeit? War es eine schwierige Zeit?
War eine schwierige Zeit, weil der Lernprozess natürlich voll im Gange war. Und die Phase, die hat dann auch gedauert bis 2011, bis wir dann das erste Mal Europameister wurden. Ja. Und das war dann schon die Kombination aller Jahre, beginnend ab 96.
Du warst dann quasi der nicht nur Europameister, sondern auch der Rennfahrer. Und der Papa, war der dann dein Mechaniker im weitesten Sinne? Hat der dann auch so ein bisschen auf die Technik geguckt?
Papa war nicht der Mechaniker, Papa war der Don, das war der Chef. Das muss man, ist er heute noch. Also hier auf dem LKW, den er zuletzt gefahren hat, steht Konrad Hahn. Der Conny ist ein Teil von dem, was wir heute sind.
5., 6. Titel mit Iveco, sozusagen die dritte prägende Phase fürs Team.
Ja, aber am Anfang sagen viele, ja, wie könnt ihr mit Iveco? Und dann sage ich, Leute, stopp. Wir waren bei Mercedes, wir waren bei MAN und wir fühlen uns heute zu Hause, weil Iveco genau die Wertigkeit vertritt, nämlich eine familiäre Zusammenarbeit auf Augenhöhe. So, und sagen wir, wenn wir in die Richtung wieder kommen, dass wir technisch wieder auf dem Level sind, wo wir hinwollen, fahrerisch am Ende meines Zenits, wann er immer da ist, dann wird die nächste Generation bereit sein, also unser Sohn, der Lukas, und in irgendeiner Art, oder unsere Tochter Jacqueline, irgendwo ein Part spielen in dem Bereich. Und dann gucken wir, dass der Lukas genauso erfolgreich wird im Motorsport wie sein Vater und sein Großvater.
So, if you didn't understand the German lyrics, I would call them, he just talked about the family and importance. We might give you a quick summary over then, but the next generation is already there, ready to start with his son, Lucas Hahn, for example. You see the team members here going around, and it is very important that we got the marshals over here waving the green flag for the formation lap. So this is very crucial right now for the drivers, because they're getting the last minute running around the first lap, trying to concentrate and to focus what is going to happen right now. And this is race 1 here in JARAMA. It seems that we've been here for hours because it happens so many things here. That's what it is about truck racing. So please, our commentators Joachim Eberts and Jack Worrell, I hand over the scepter to you right now.
Thank you very much, Christina. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We are, of course, here at JARAMA in Spain for round 7 of the series, races 17, 18, 19 and 20. And the first one will very shortly be getting underway. Everybody working their way round to the grid. And it does allow the teams to do their final preparations and allow the drivers to get mentally prepared for the first race of the weekend. Of course, we had the quick interview with Jochen Hahn, 6-time FIA ETRC champion, 3-time runner-up, and he knows what he's doing behind the wheel of that Iveco. Of course, it's somewhat of a development season for that truck. Next season, expect him to be back up there, really leading the way and potentially bringing the fight to Norbert Kiesche if he returns next season as well. So lots of action on the way. There is the beautiful Iveco S-Way, one of the official trucks we have here this weekend. The Iveco being the official pace truck of the FIA ETRC. And of course, they will not only continue to be an official partner of the FIA ETRC, the transport vehicle manufacturer will also provide the bio-LNG, the liquefied neutral gas powered Iveco S-Way, as you can see there. So it's a very, very pretty looking machine, and it will continue to work with the FIA ETRC for years to come. And of course, we do have the Ford F-Max alongside the official truck of the FIA ETRC, as we heard about slightly earlier on. 12-speed automatic transmission in that in that Ford, with around about 2,500 Newton meters worth of torque, 400 kilowatts worth of braking power. So a very high performance truck, but massively worked towards being a more comfortable, a more economical truck with its superior aerodynamics and powertrain calibration. So both brilliant pieces of machinery, and it's great to see them out on the grid here in Jarama. If you are just joining us, of course, we are here at Jarama in San Sebastián de los Reyes, just north of Madrid. And in a few moments' time, as the drivers and mechanics complete their final checks and the incredibly efficient circuit staff and marshals make sure everybody is in their various grid positions, we will end up with race 1 on the way, as the trucks just on their way to the grid, sit stationary, and I'm hoping we will end up with a few interviews down on the grid ahead of the first race of the weekend. Of course, we saw the highlights from Le Mans as well. Another weekend with mixed conditions. The weather forecast for Jarama is rather mixed, but don't think we're going to have any rain. So we could see dry running throughout the weekend. Of course, at Zolder a few weeks ago, and then Le Mans just a week ago, of course, we did see lots of rain at both events. And Adam Lachko, really the favourable driver in the rain. We spoke to him at Zolder, very quick in the rain ever since he left karting. So if we do get a sudden change of weather, do expect Adam Lachko to work his way through the grid. You heard the little reversing siren there on one of the trucks, and as a regulation to enter a truck into the FIA European Truck Racing Championship, they must be fitted with an audible warning sound that starts when reverse gear is engaged. So another little thing that you might not really think about, but the trucks have to be fitted with it. It is absolutely mandatory for the championship. There's a few little other regulations which I'm sure we will gloss over throughout the weekend, things you wouldn't really think about unless you look through the regulations, and all the trucks have to be fitted with them as well. You can see Sacha Lenz sat alongside in his number 30 MAN for SL Truck Sport, the German looking to potentially add another win to his rating so far this season. He's had 2 wins so far, 8 top 10s, and he's only 3 points ahead of Adam Lachko in the championship. However, the man we're looking at the moment, Norbert Kisch, we have an interview. Down to you, Christina.
Yes, thank you very much. It's Norbert Kisch in his 8th pole position during this season. Congratulations so far. I know the race is not won yet. It's yet to come. The first race in Jarama. What do you expect? Yeah, better like this.
Yeah, so far so good. The qualifying was good. I'm happy with the pole position, but yeah, the race is always difficult, and Sasha is very good at the start, as I always seen when he was next to me. So for sure it will be a difficult start and a difficult first turn. But yeah, you know, I hope to have a good start as well, and keep the first position and take it from there. Hopefully, this track is killing the tires. If you maybe take a look at the tires after the race, you will be surprised. This circuit is really harsh on the tires. So a lot will be depending on how everybody handling the tires. So I hope we are doing it well. We'll see.
It's very interesting. It is an old school circuit here, to say. What makes it so special?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the surface is very harsh. Even though I think they resurfaced it like 2 or 3 years ago, but it's still very harsh. And the curbs is what is really unusual. You know, you don't really see these old curbs anywhere anymore, because everywhere you have these FIA standard red and white curbs and blue curbs, but you don't see them here because it's still, you know, something from the 70s probably. So also, yeah, the curves are really harsh, and they are quite high. There are some big gaps, so sometimes a big bump. So yeah, it's a difficult circuit.
Thank you very much, and have fun. Thank you. Overall. Yeah, you see, it is an old school track, but with new school drivers such as Norbert Kisch.
Thank you very much, Christina. Very helpful insight into Norbert Kisch's opinion of the Jarama circuit. Like you say, the circuit is very abrasive, and it will really start to wear the tyres down, and not really a concern about the curbs, more of an observation, just because they are very unique. Like you say, you normally see the red and white and the blue FIA standardised curbs, but here, with it being a very historical circuit, they've managed to keep parts of that history with the circuit infrastructure. And hopefully we do get to have a look at those tyres at the end of the first race of the weekend. You can see the 10-minute board being held up. So we are getting closer and closer to the start of the first race of the weekend. Norbert somewhat worried about Sascha Lenz alongside. It will be the outside for turn 1 for Sascha, but we know he is very quick off the line in his MAN. It's a full MAN front row, so we've got somewhat of a duel right the way down towards turn 1, so plenty to look forward to before we even get anywhere towards the first sector. So we will start to see who can push forward in the early stages of the race. Adam Lachko starting from 4th place. There is the beautiful Ford F-Max. Very, very well equipped piece of machinery. New Ford S-Max is also empowered by a variable geometry turbocharger. So it is just one of those trucks, but it's got next-gen technology and it's bringing it to the consumer as well. So can't wait to see them out on the roads. They've got a great onboard camera. It's a very relaxed driving style, but it really is a high-performance piece of machinery. So it's a very, very well-equipped Ford. Got all this to look forward to as well. Of course, it's here throughout the whole weekend, is the official truck of the FIA ETRC. And of course, we will see the Iveco S-Way at the head of the grid lead the trucks round on their warming up lap. Now we just have to wait patiently until the first race of the weekend gets underway. Still completing this lap around Jarama aboard the Ford F-Max. 3.85 kilometres or 2.39 miles to be completed around, as we've heard throughout the entire weekend, what is a very historical circuit. It opened in 1967, and the year it opened, it held one of the FIA Formula One World Championship rounds. Of course, the Spanish Grand Prix was held here on multitude of times between 1967 and 1981. 11 times it played host to the Formula One Spanish Grand Prix. It also has previously hosted the Superbike World Championship, the World Touring Car Championship, and of course we are here this weekend for the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. It's a great onboard camera here on the Ford F-Max, just giving us a little insight into how to take the Jarama circuit round Bugatti we go, and then it's the climb up the hill towards Monza. This is where we will start to see driver setup really start to take effect, because if you focus on acceleration, then out of Bugatti you'll be very quick indeed, because it's an uphill run to the next right-hander at Monza. However, if you focus on almost maintaining that top speed for a longer period of time, then you'll really start to come into your own as we come down the piece of track we're looking at the moment, the start-finish straight. You can see the Iveco S-Way up at the front of the grid, sat waiting patiently. All the team members and drivers just making sure their final preparations have been made ahead of the next race. We saw at the bottom of the screen there that all trucks run on bio-HVO diesel, which is 100% renewable, in the effort to make the championship net zero, so zero carbon emissions by 2038 latest. So really pushing for a greener side of motorsport, which is of course brilliant to see. And in trucks that are really well built to produce some very close and very fast motorsport, it just shows that whilst getting the performance out of these vehicles, you can make sure that you are doing it economically as well. A few little stats about these trucks. They produce around about 1,200 brake horsepower, as well as 5,500 Newton meters or 4,050 pound-foot of torque. So plenty of performance underneath the right foot of these drivers. They can accelerate their way from 20 to 100 miles an hour in the same speed, in the same time as a Porsche 911 GT3 RS. And of course, I'm sure they'll be able to go a lot quicker, but they are electronically limited to 100 miles an hour or 160 kilometers an hour. We did see Jose Rodriguez get a penalty after being under investigation for overspeeding. So if you do go over that 100 mile an hour limit, you will be drawing the attentions of the race stewards. 1 minute board held aloft by our circuit staff. Green flag waved at the tail end of the grid, just letting everybody know that it's time to go and everybody is ready for the first race of the weekend. In a few moments' time, the Iveco S-Way will lead the 17-strong grid towards turn 1 for their green flag warming up lap. get as much temperature into the brakes and the tyres as possible, because you really will need it. The clouds have somewhat come over. I'm sure the sun will burn them off very, very shortly, and the track will only get quicker as the day wears on, because it will slowly start to cool down if the cloud remains as it is, and as more and more rubber is laid down. Of course, before race 1 and just after qualifying, we saw the first race of the weekend for the Spanish Truck Racing Championship, so more rubber has been laid down. Green flags waved, green lights illuminated, and Norbert Kisch will lead the field away from the grid with Sascha Lengs alongside. And everybody else works their way forward from there. Keep an eye out for Jochen Hahn. Very good qualifying, sat in 3rd place. Of course, got a win at Le Mans. So expect to see a little bit of improvement throughout this race. We might even see him grab yet another podium. Working their way around turn 1 now. In a few moments' time, we will have the grid available to us. Of course, this time, last round at Le Mans, Jochen Hahn did win from Antonio Albacete in 2nd place, and it was Norbert Kisch finishing in 3rd, so somewhat out of place. Adam Lachko and Sascha Lengs 4th and 5th. So we've got the same drivers up at the head of affairs, but we could potentially start to see a few more drivers work their way through the cracks and see some all-new racing here at Jarama. The mid-pack is really where you want to be watching. It's close every single time we look. You can see, you can also hear the crowds have really come in force. Air horns, flags, and everybody's all rushing towards the spectator area just to watch the first race of the weekend. Very, very strong showing from the spectators, so brilliant to see. Home favourite Antonio Albacete will be getting a lot of those cheers, and I'm sure he will be ushered on by his home fans, so expect to see good performances from Antonio throughout the weekend. Of course, 4 races this weekend. The first one will very shortly be getting underway, and this is how they line up. It's Norbert Kisch on pole position, a 1:58.203 his pole time, with Sascha Lengs alongside. Row 2 of the grid is Jochen Hahn and Adam Lachko. Antonio Albacete has Teo Calvet for company on row 3, and it's Andre Curzim and Jose Rodriguez 7th and 8th, and it's René Reiner and Steffi Halm rounding out your top 10. Jamie Anderson, followed by Anthony Janiak. Then it's Shane Brereton, Elia Koloch, Luke Garrett, Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, and Stefan Faas forced to the last row of the grid. So 17 trucks working their way around on the formation lap here at Jarama, led by the Iveco S-Way. The Iveco will pull its way in towards the pit lane, ready for the rolling start. We know that Sascha Lengs is very, very quick off the start. Norbert Kisch at Zolder, however, he found the right gear, got full boost, and went from 5th to 1st in the space of 1 lap, so don't rule him out for another similar performance. So working their way up towards Monza, getting ready to go green flag racing for the first time this weekend. The marshals getting ready for what is going to be a very, very exciting race. Iveco S-Way just pulling away from the field. In towards the pit lane it will go. Norbert Kisch backing everybody up, and he is the one that controls the pace of all of the trucks behind. We'll have to wait for the red lights to extinguish, and then we will go racing for the first time here this weekend at Jarama. So it's Norbert Kisch on pole position, Sascha Lengs alongside. We know Sascha's very quick off the line, red lights on, and Norbert Kisch puts his foot to the floor as we go racing here at Jarama for the first time this weekend. Throwing the truck over towards the left-hand side of the circuit is the number 14 of Jose Rodriguez, really looking to make moves on the run-up towards turn 1, topping out at 100 miles an hour, wait for the truck to dive down. It's Sascha Lengs looking to the outside. He got the better of the 2 starts, but it will be the outside for turn 1. It will evolve to the inside in a few moments' time. We've got a truck in towards the gravel. Steffi Halm kicking out sideways. I think the truck that ended up in the gravel was potentially Jose Rodriguez. Rejoining the circuit there, so losing a barrel of places, but up at the head of affairs it's all nose to tail for the lead. Norbert Kisch leading Sascha Lengs, leading Jochen Hahn. Antonio Albacete trying to keep touch with them. You can see there that is Adam Lachko almost making contact with Andre Curzim, desperate to try and work his way up. Luke Garrett getting caught out there through sector 1. We've got another truck off towards the left hand side. I think that was Stefan Faas getting elbowed out by Shane Brereton. So it's all a bit argy-bargy as it stands. But Norbert Kish building up a little bit of advantage already. He's got a bit of breathing room over Sacha Lenz. By no means is he safe at any point. You can still see Adam Lachko desperate to get past Andre Kurzim. Janiek all over the tail of Steffi Helm, riding on board with Jamie Anderson towards the left-hand side of the circuit. Who is that? That could be Teo Calvet with an issue. René Reiner with a little bit of damage on the tail end of his truck. Jamie Anderson really pushing forward now, desperate to get past René Reiner. And through the very quick left-hander, it'll be hard on the brakes for Bugatti. Back up the hill we go once again. Norbert Kish slowly starting to extend that lead margin ever further. It's gone from 3 battling for first to 3 battling for second at the moment. It's still Sacha Lenz sat there in second place. Jochen Hahn just sat behind. Antonio Albertetti has got no pressure from behind, so he's more than happy to keep focusing forward, trying to pick off the 6-time champion of Jochen Hahn. Then through the final corner comes Andre Kurzim and Adam Lachko with a little bit of a moment on the exit. So too does Jamie Anderson, pushing forward, pulling out towards the right-hand side of René Reiner, looking to work his way by, peeling towards the pit wall just to go in the way of defence. But Norbert Kish in towards turn 1. We've got a yellow flag in turn 8. I believe that could be where we lost Teo Calvet, of course, French truck racing champion. We'll try and pick him out there. Looking at the helmet, yes, that is Teo Calvet, and he is heading in towards retirement on the first lap of the first race of the weekend. But Norbert Kish almost a second clear of Sacha Lenz last time through, and it's Jochen Hahn still with Antonio Albertetti just sat behind. Andre Kurzim and Andre Kurzim and Adam Lachko still nose to tail, pardon me, and it's René Reiner and Jamie Anderson just about battling away in the background. Norbert Kish will be loving the battle behind him because he can just keep working his way forward. Steffi Helm looking to work her way past Jamie Anderson. Look towards the outside on the exit of Farina. Couldn't quite get the move done there. You can see now with the battle behind, Sacha Lenz has managed to leave Jochen Hahn. So it's Jochen Hahn versus Antonio Albertetti. Adam Lachko has managed to work his way past Andre Kurzim. It's still René Reiner leading Jamie Anderson, leading Steffi Helm with Janiek just behind. Then we get back to Shane Brereton and Stefan Faas with the recovering Jose Rodriguez with his lights ablaze, looking to work his way back forward after losing a handful of places on the exit of turn 1. Got to be so careful not to run wide and attempt to not make any sort of contact with the stationary Teo Calvet. We've got another truck in towards the gravel. Who is that? I do think that's Adam Lachko working his way through the gravel, so a bit too much speed on the run up towards Bugatti, but he does manage to get the moment collected up and continue working forward. Hasn't lost much time to Andre Kurzim behind. There is Norbert Kish, still with Sacha Lenz in second place, trying to work his way forward. The incident at the start of the race is under investigation. René Reiner still with Jamie Anderson all over him. Then it's Steffi Helm just sat behind, waiting in the wing. She can't wait too long, however, because Anthony Janiek is sat there, trying to push forward with Shane Brereton in tow. Pulling over towards the right-hand side is Jose Rodriguez, trying to get the move done on Stefan Faas on the run-up towards turn 1. It's all nose to tail in the mid-pack. I did say the mid-pack is where it will really start to heat up, and I've almost proved myself right with that one. You can see there Jose Rodriguez looked once again to the outside of Stefan Faas on the run-up to turn 1. Couldn't quite get the move done. There is Jamie Anderson and René Reiner still nose to tail. Both trucks with a little bit of damage on the tail end. Then we get back to Steffi Helm, just sat watching along as it stands. Anthony Janiek still with Shane Brereton. You can see the lead gap is still increasing as well. 1.9 seconds last time through, Norbert Kish ahead of Sacha Lenz. Jochen Hahn trying to fend off the attentions of Antonio Albertetti just behind. But that mid-pack, it couldn't really get any closer. René Reiner running slightly wide on the exit of Farina. Jamie Anderson did so too, so he didn't really lose too much time there. Steffi Helm coming under a slight bit more pressure from Anthony Janiek. They are getting closer together, bouncing over the curbs goes the number 23 of Antonio Albertetti. René Reiner and Jamie Anderson still nose to tail on their way through. Jamie desperate to try and get by, looks to the outside, potentially trying to grab a later apex. There was the damage, dissipating itself from the tail end of that truck. Still working his way forward is Jamie Anderson, really starting to pile that pressure on. You can still see Jose Rodriguez desperate to get past Stefan Faas. The run up towards Bugatti, who's going to be later on the brakes. You can see here René Reiner and Jamie Anderson still nose to tail. Jamie drops a little bit further back on the brakes, potentially looking for a cutback and a slightly later apex. And Jose Rodriguez and Stefan Faas still nose to tail as well. On the run up towards Monza, it's still very evenly spread. So not too much going on, still with that damage on the tail end of René Reiner as well. Slight kick of oversteer there, very well controlled from René Reiner. Gets full boost slightly earlier and does manage to slightly extend that margin as well. Jamie Anderson just sat following in his wheel tracks, crossing the line in a few moments' time. So 3 laps of the race completed. The lead gap now 2.8 seconds, Norbert Kish to Sascha Lenz. Adam Lachko left in a world of his own. Hasn't really got Andre Kurzim putting that much pressure on. You can still see René Reiner and Jamie Anderson nose to tail. In the background, Jose Rodriguez and Stefan Faas have lost a little bit of time between each other as well, so that battle has opened up. René Reiner, that damage, don't think it's going to be costing him too much, but on a circuit which, after we heard from Norbert Kish, is already bad on tyres, the last thing you want is a bit of bodywork rubbing away on your Goodyear tyre and potentially bringing in that risk of a puncture. René Reiner having to go slightly defensive on the exit of Le Mans, and then back in towards Farina we go. Jamie Anderson looking for the cutback, getting closer and closer and closer, still nose to tail. Steffi Halm still under pressure from the 66 MAN of Anthony Janiak as well. Sascha Lenz losing a little bit of time once again up to Norbert Kish. Jochen Hahn still just about remaining in front of Antonio Alberthetti, of course the home favourite. René Reiner and Jamie Anderson still battling away as well. Jamie looking all the way around the outside, try and get the later apex on the run through Portago. And then it's down towards Bugatti once again. You won't have to worry about that damage after that rear left wheel arch dispersed itself from the truck. So no danger in the way of a puncture really as it stands. Currently on the 4th lap of the race, and they're still nose to tail. It's 4 trucks, all nose to tail in the background as well, led by Steffi Halm. Then it's Anthony Janiak, then followed by Shane Brereton and Stefan Faas. Jose Rodriguez has lost touch with Stefan, so Stefan can really start piling that pressure on Shane in front. Nose to tail through the final corner go René Reiner and Jamie Anderson. I do think we have an onboard camera with Jamie Anderson this weekend, so it will be good to see that as they cross the line once again. 4 laps of the race completed, 2.9 seconds the lead gap. Sascha Lenz with a slightly better lap last time through, so still happy to push forward and try and mount a challenge on Norbert Kish, but he's got a lot of time to make up if he wishes to do so come the end of 12 laps of racing here. René driving a brilliantly defensive drive so far. Here is a replay of the start. So everybody tearing towards turn 1. It looks almost 4 or 5 wide in the background there. We'll keep an eye out on Jose Rodriguez just to see how he found himself in the gravel trap. Luke Garrett on the inside had a big old look. So you can see there Luis Rodriguez potentially with a little bit of help from one of the trucks on the inside. I can't quite pick out who that was, but I think he got elbowed out towards the gravel. Jamie Anderson helping Steffi Halm through the first sector, just pushing each other around. Not a massively wide circuit. 2 wide is brave, 3 wide is probably even worse, but they gave it a damn good go. Now you can see Adam Lachko latching his attentions onto the tail end of the number 23 of Antonio Alberthetti. So it's 3 trucks all battling over the final step on the podium. Jochen Hahn with Antonio Alberthetti still just sat behind, but Adam Lachko having pulled away from Andre Kurzim, he can focus his full attentions on making up ground in front. 3.2 seconds the gap last time through between Norbert Kish and Sascha Lenz, so that gap really starting to open up. We get an update as they cross the line once again, but Jochen Hahn, it's all to play for at the moment for 3rd place. There goes Andre Kurzim. In a few moments time we will see René Reiner and Jamie Anderson go back past nose to tail. Norbert Kish still extending that lead margin. Sascha Lenz not really under any pressure at all because the trucks behind still battling away. Jochen Hahn with Antonio Alberthetti in tow. Adam Lachko trying to work his way forward and potentially get onto the podium. Sideways through the final corner from Andre Kurzim, trying to make up a little bit of time that he lost earlier on. Jamie Anderson once again pulling over towards the right-hand side, trying to find the inside line for turn 1. René Reiner coming along defensively. You can see Teo Calve's Bagheera Freightliner has worked its way towards the pit lane, so yellow flags will have been retrieved. No further danger out on the circuit, and you can start to see the battles heat up once again. They never really cool down, to be honest, but Jochen Hahn potentially with a little bit of breathing room as it stands, because Antonio Alberthetti will keep an eye on that rear view mirror, because Adam Lachko still pushing forward. Norbert Kish pulling away. Sascha Lenz trying to stick with him. 3.8 seconds the lead gap last time through. Visually you can see Jochen Hahn pulls away on corner exit, but Antonio Alberthetti seems to be slightly later on the brakes. Adam Lachko strong pretty much everywhere as it stands. Somewhat carefully through Farina went Andre Kurzim. trying not to make a mistake at this point in the race is really, really crucial indeed. Bouncing over the curbs once again goes Antonio Albacete, still pushing forward. There's a drive-through penalty for Elia Koloc after an incident with Heinrich Clementeca. So Elia will have to pull over towards the right-hand side after the final corner and drive through the pit lane at the pit lane speed limit and then retake to the circuit. But as it stands, Norbert Kish still pulling away. At the moment, Théo Calvet, of course, retiring, and then it's Heinrich Clementeca, I think 2 laps down on the rest of the order, and then it's Elia Koloc, but Elia will have to serve that drive-through penalty within 3 laps, I believe it's mandatory. Norbert Kish through the final corner, then followed by Sacha Lenz. In the background, still battling away, is Jochen Hahn, Albacete, and then Lachko following suit. They can't battle too much because André Kurzem isn't too far away either. He might be able to pick up a few places towards the tail end of the race. Anthony Janiak has still got Shane Brereton all over his tail with Stefan Faas and Jose Rodriguez. So Steffi Halm has managed to build up a little bit of a gap and is now focusing forward, trying to work her way onto the tail of the trucks in front. Jamie Anderson and René Rayner, if they still battle away, Steffi Halm will very quickly become part of that in her Team Hahn Iveco. Through turn 1 we go. René Rayner and Jamie Anderson, we've seen them closer, but halfway through the race now, Jamie potentially just taking a step back, re-evaluating the situation and then pushing forward. The incident between the number 33 of Jamie Anderson, the number 77 of René Rayner, and then the number 14 of Jose Rodriguez, that was potentially why we saw Jose in the gravel, will be under investigation come the end of the race. Yellow flag at turn 8, and we'll try and figure out why that is. René Rayner really starting to build up that gap over Jamie Anderson. Steffi Halm reeling in Anderson now, and you can see Anthony Janiak is slowly starting to escape the grasp of Shane Brereton because Stefan Faas all over his tail, bringing with him Jose Rodriguez in the number 14 MAN. And then round the top of the circuit we go, through Portago, and then the heavy braking zone of Bugatti. We've seen Adam Lachko make a slight mistake there earlier on in the race, but he's pieced it together once again, still pushing forward, trying to get past Antonio Albacete. Of course, he's a teammate down at this point. Théo Calvet has been very quick throughout the whole season, but retiring very early on the first lap of the race with a supposed electrical issue. I do believe he's managed to get that electrical issue fixed, so hopefully he will be able to get out for race 2. He managed to get that truck back to the pit lane, so it was no longer sat stationary on the exit of turn 7. René Rayner still pulling away a little bit ahead of Jamie Anderson. Steffi Halm not too far adrift. Anthony Janiak as Shane Brereton still sat behind. Stefan Faas has managed to pull away from Jose Rodriguez and focus his attentions on making up a place. That is the battle for 11th place. Anderson once again trying another go at René Rayner. In towards turn 1. There's very little to be picked between them. Of course, the trucks can accelerate their way up to 100 miles an hour and then no further, so it's going to be very difficult to get past them in a straight line. It's all got to be done on the brakes and corner exit. But René still working forward with damage on the front left-hand side of that truck, potentially caused at the start of the race with that incident with Jamie Anderson and Jose Rodriguez. In the background, you can see Shane Brereton and Stefan Faas still nose to tail. Jose Rodriguez really starting to have a go as well. So at the moment, Shane Brereton doing everything he can, trying to defend that 11th place. Once again, bouncing over the curbs goes Antonio Albacete. Still with Adam Lachko just sat behind. René Rayner with Anderson, and then we get back to Steffi Halm. Anthony Janiak can focus his attentions forward because this is the battle we saw at the start of the lap. The number 17 of Shane Brereton in the purple MAN with the sole Scania out of Stefan Faas, number 24, Tankpool 24 Racing Scania, really pushing him around Jarama. Then we get back to Jose Rodriguez, just sat waiting in the wings as well. It is the battle for 11th place, almost 10th place as well, arguably, because Anthony Janiak has now dropped back into the clutches of Shane Brereton. 4.5 seconds was the lead gap at the end of lap 7. At the end of lap 8, 5 seconds the lead gap. So Norbert Kish really pushing forward now, still pulling away from Sacha Lenz. Jochen Hahn hasn't got much to worry about because Albacete is preoccupied with Adam Lachko. Then it's Andre Kurzim, René Rayner and Jamie Anderson still nose to tail. Steffi Halm up the road. Then we get back to this battle that we're seeing now. Anthony Janiak will see that in his rear view mirror. Shane Brereton just ushering Stefan Faas over towards the right hand side. Drive-through penalty for the number 33. That's Jamie Anderson after a hard-fought battle with René Rayner. It will all come undone as he will have to head in towards the pit lane, and that was very close between Jose Rodriguez and Stefan Faas. Almost a little bit of contact. I don't quite think they got close enough for any damage to be caused. They were definitely nose to tail. You can see Jose Rodriguez, he jumped on the brakes in avoidance, and that's cost him handfuls of time. But Jamie Anderson with that drive-through penalty after crossing the after he crossed the white line after the start and then made contact with René Rayner. So not a great race so far for Jamie Anderson. Couldn't throw anything else at René Rayner. Didn't end up with the position, and now has a drive-through penalty to go with it. Elia Koloc also with that drive-through penalty as well. Over the top we go, and Anthony Janiak still with Shane Brereton just sat behind. Stefan Faas throwing everything in the kitchen sink at Shane Brereton just to try and work his way past. Jose Rodriguez hasn't really been able to make up any places after he lost a stack at the start of the race. And he's just trying to work his way forward. He doesn't quite have that extra little bit to get past Stefan Faas. Round Bugatti we go. Anthony Janiak still defending his 10th place from Brereton, then from Faas, who ran slightly wide on the exit, kicking up all the dust at the edge of the gravel trap. And it's Jose Rodriguez. There goes Rayner, Anderson and Steffi Halm. So 4 trucks nose to tail, all battling for what is the place. Stefan Faas getting closer and closer and closer to the tail end of Jamie Anderson. Koloc has retired from the race, we're hearing, so that's 2 Bagheera Racing Freightliners that have retired in the first race of the weekend. I'm sure we'll end up with a little bit more information as to why that is in a few moments' time, but René Rayner pulling away from Jamie Anderson now. Jamie with that drive-through penalty still to consider. Lead gap now 5.7 seconds between Norbert Kish and Sacha Lenz. Norbert has been very quick throughout the entire season and is still continuing that trend here in Spain. There goes Shane Brereton, Stefan Faas in tow. Jose Rodriguez, he loses a little bit of time, but then makes it all back. Once again, he just can't quite work his way past Stefan Faas. Ran slightly wide on the entry to Le Mans. Got the truck squared away. Ahead of Farina, going around there now. And this battling has allowed Anthony Janiak just to build up around about half a second, but that's all you need just to remain in the place. So still doing very well to defend that position. There is René Rayner, still with Anderson just sat behind. I think Anderson is losing a little bit of time lap after lap to Steffi Halm. Back to this battle, however. Shane Brereton in the MAN still leading the 2 trucks behind of Stefan Faas and Jose Rodriguez. Anthony Janiak just sat watching along. Can't really do much in the way of pushing forward. He just needs to focus on not going backwards, I think, at this stage of the race. 9 laps of the race completed very shortly. There you go, 10 laps of the race completed. 6 seconds was the gap when they crossed the line. So Norbert Kish and Sacha Lenz working away from each other. Jochen Hahn sat there in 3rd place. Then it's Antonio Albacete in 4th, still under pressure from Adam Lachko. And we get back to Andre Kurzim, René Rayner, Jamie Anderson. There goes Steffi Halm. And back to this battle for 10th place. Still led by Anthony Janiak. Then it's Shane Brereton and Stefan Faas. Jose Rodriguez losing a little bit of time to the sparring duo up the road. There is Adam Lachko looking up the inside now of home favourite Antonio Albacete. He will have the inside for the next right-hander at Varzi. But it looks like Lachko had to pull out of that move. Once again, the shallow line on the way in towards Le Mans. Cut back, grab the late apex, all over the curb goes the pair of them. A little bit of damage on the front end of Adam Lachko, making it slightly worse, I think, using all the curbs. That could have been from pushing Antonio Albacete, just trying to get past and get 4th place, but there's no real hope of 3rd because all this battling has allowed Jochen Hahn to work his way into the distance. There goes Sacha Lenz. There is Jochen Hahn in the Iveco. And then we get back side by side. The damage has disappeared from the front end of Adam Lachko, potentially once again from pushing Antonio Albacete. So getting his elbows out is Adam. Running out of time in this race, 10 laps of the race completed, so well and truly desperate to get past the Spaniard in front. And the sole remaining Bagheera Freightliner desperately attempting to get one more place, and of course you go up a place, you get more points, and points mean prizes, so if he can continue to work his way forward. Of course, at the moment, Adam Lachko and Antonio Albacete, 3rd and 4th in the championship. Quite the gap between the pair of them, but Antonio's doing everything he needs to just to bring that gap down as it stands. So crossing the line for 11 laps of the race completed. Norbert Kish and Sacha Lenz 6.3 seconds apart now. Adam Lachko really pushing forward in the number 55 machine, desperate to get past. Throws the truck over towards the left-hand side. Antonio Albacete goes defensive. It looks like Adam Lachko potentially got a better run through the final corner. On the run up towards turn 1, they might be side by side. Onto the final lap of the race we go. And Adam Lachko will have to be very brave if he's going to get the move done around the outside. He does manage to outbrake Albacete in the initial part of the braking. But then as soon as we continue back through Fangio and in towards Varzi, they are nose to tail once again. Antonio Albacete somehow remains in 4th place. Adam Lachko scrabbling around, trying to get out of 5th and steal that position away. Takes the wider line in, cuts back on the exit of Le Mans. In towards Farina we go. Once again, the wider line from Adam Lachko compromises his entry to maximise his exit. But there's very little he can do at this point, because Antonio Albacete is driving a very, very, very good defensive drive. Norbert Kish, in a few moments' time, will be heading towards the line to take the checkered flag for the first time this weekend. 7.1 seconds the last time through between Kish and Lenz. Once again, Lachko taking the wider line in, trying to get that better exit. They're almost side by side on the exit of Mortago before the long run downhill towards Bugatti, who's going to be later on the brakes. And Antonio Albacete is just enough in front to make sure he doesn't have to go defensive. Norbert Kish going through the penultimate corner now. And in a few moments' time, we'll be going through the final corner and see the checkered flag being ready for himself. Will be a lights the flag victory for Norbert Kish, the first race of the weekend, the 17th race of this series. And Norbert Kish crosses the line to take the win here at Jarama. The first race of the weekend, top honours go to Norbert. Then it's Sacha Lenz, very well driven race. Managed to fend off any attentions from Jochen Hahn in 3rd to take 2nd place. Jochen Hahn does indeed finish 3rd place. Who's going to finish 4th, however? It looks like it's going to be Antonio Albacete after defending tirelessly from Adam Lachko. And then the number 11 machine of Andre Kurzin will cross the line to finish in 6th place. And Renault Reiner, after battling for the first half of the race from Anderson, I believe it was, will finish in 7th place. Anderson did serve his drive-through penalty, which means he ended down in 13th place. Side by side as they crossed the line. Did we see a change of position there between Rodriguez and Brereton? I don't think we did. It was very close as they crossed the line, that's for sure. Very little to pick between them. There is Anderson in the background. And then Luke Garrett will cross the line to finish in 14th place. And he will be the last of our finishers because Elia Koloc had to retire. So too did Teo Calvet. And drifting around is Jochen Hahn. The fans are absolutely loving it here in Spain. Definitely the loudest fans I think we've had all season. And ushering on Antonio Albacete, a very well-driven race for 4th place. That will definitely make the fans proud here at Jarama. And the first race of the weekend over just like that, the 17th race of the year. There is Norbert Kish flashing the lights, honking the horn, thanking the marshals, of course. Without them, we wouldn't be able to go racing. So a massive thank you from everybody here at the FIA ETRC to our marshals and circuit staff. We really wouldn't be able to do it without you. There is Sacha Lenz, Jochen Hahn following along as well. And there is Antonio Albacete. The marshals absolutely loving it. There's Adam Lachko and Andre Kurzin following. along as well. So a race where we saw gravelly moments, sideways moments, bits of contact here and there, a couple of penalties dished out. We couldn't have really asked for anything more, and it only tends to get closer throughout the entire weekend as the drivers get used to the trucks, refine their setups and get used to the circuit once again. So we could see even closer racing, not only from race 2 today, but of course we've got races 3 and 4 tomorrow, as well as another qualifying session, the second qualifying session of the weekend, and with it comes a second Super Pole session as well. But Norbert Kish kicking off the weekend in very much a Norby style. First race of the weekend put the shadow of doubt in the mind of his competitors, and a very, very, very good race from himself. Trying to pick out the close finish we saw. Shane Brereton and Jose Rodriguez crossed the line a 10th apart. They were side by side when they crossed the line, but the transponders show that Brereton crossed the line in 10th place, with Rodriguez holding on to 11th. Stefan Faas ended up finishing in 12th place, so lost that position to Rodriguez, but a 10th of a second separating 10th and 11th. We saw the battle race long, and it came down to the closest it had been as we crossed the line for the final time. In towards the pit lane come all of our drivers. I'm sure we'll have an interview with a few of them. Be nice to have a look at those rear tyres, as Norbert Kish alluded to, saying that this track is very abrasive and it really does wear away at those Goodyear tyres. And of course then we will have the Goodyear Cup podium, as well as, or the AM class, the Chrome class podium, which is for the Goodyear Cup, and then the Titan podium as well, the overall podium. There is a very happy Norbert Kish, another win to add to his tally. Sacha Lenz back on the podium once again. Sacha has been there or thereabouts throughout the weekend, so it's great to see him on the podium once again. You can see the front tyre really starting to wear down on that truck, so Norby was well and truly correct. And Jochen Hahn works his way in towards the parking area, parks his truck behind the 3rd place board, and will get out and celebrate with his team. But Norbert Kish, what a drive for Revas Racing. Very well done. Led from lights to flag, fastest in qualifying, fastest in Super Pole, fastest in the race. You couldn't really ask for anything more than that. I think he had the fastest lap of the race as well overall. Yes, he did, a 1 minute 58.587. That would have even put him on pole in qualifying. So a very quick lap from Norbert Kish. Team's chanting away. There is Sacha Lenz celebrating with his team as well. Jamie Anderson in the background. A race of what could have been, really. Didn't quite have enough to throw at Renault Reina, and then picked up that penalty because of the incident at the start of the race. Sacha Lenz over the moon with another podium. Some very well-earned points as well, and that will put him further away from Adam Lachko, his championship rival. Coming into this weekend, there was 3 points separating them, and with Sacha Lenz finishing in 2nd and Adam Lachko finishing in 5th, that is exactly what he needed for his championship aspirations. But Norbert Kish, you can't do much more than that, can you? Great stuff from Norby, maximum points attained. There is Jochen Hahn over the moon with 3rd place, celebrating with his team as well. In a few years' time, I wouldn't be surprised if we see yet another generation of Hahn, Lucas Hahn, as we heard earlier, taking to the circuit and racing in the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. And they've only got quicker from generation to generation, so keep an eye out for that young talent working his way through the series. Jochen Hahn and Sacha Lenz, Norbert Kish and Sacha Lenz congratulating each other on a very well-driven race. But Norbert Kish, what can anybody else do to stop him from getting to the top step of the podium? Week in, week out, every single round he's on the podium, and 9 times out of 10 it's the top step as well. Norbert Kish, very quick this season, and will continue to be throughout the rest. You can see the media getting their various photos. Looking from the front of Norby's truck, you can see the fans herding over to go and celebrate with their drivers, and the media and the photos being taken as well. Why wouldn't you, when you've got this brilliant opportunity provided by the JARAMA circuit and the FIA European Truck Racing Championship? It allows you to get so close to these purpose-built racing machines and the very talented drivers that pilot them around throughout the season. Why wouldn't you go say hello? Jochen Hahn and Norbert Kish congratulating each other as well. And then towards the podium they will go, and I'm sure we'll grab a word with a couple of drivers, and then there will be the podium celebrations on the way as well. So the team staff, circuit staff, and everybody else associated will wander their way over towards the podium. Jochen Hahn and Sacha Lenz investigating the front of Norbert's truck, just having a look, potentially seeing what they could change with their setup, seeing what might be different, and trying to get that edge over Norbert Kish. We do have an interview with our race winner, Norbert Kish. Down to you, Christina.
Yes, and this is the sign for our cameraman, Sean. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Norbert Kish. You started from pole position, and as you mentioned, the first curve, the first round, it was tricky with Sacha Lenz.
Yeah.
But how did you manage to get it by?
Yeah, I think I had a good start myself, but Sasha had an even better start, so he was very much side by side to me, to the first turn. But yeah, the outside is not the best here, so yeah, I could go in front of him. And then, oh yeah, I made a little bit of a mistake in turn 2 because I think I was a little bit out in the dust. So that made turn 3 a little bit tricky. So Sasha was very close in the slow left and the right, I think turn 4 and 5. I'm not sure about the names. And yeah, I had to defend a little bit, but then at the exit of the stadium, I had a really good exit and he fell a little bit behind. And then after that, he couldn't catch up anymore. So it was good. And yeah, the tire management, I think, was on our side today because I think, yeah, in the second half of the race, I could be even more faster because probably my tires were holding up better. So you know, it was good. I'm happy because yeah, I think we did a good job with the team, find a good setup, and yeah, have a good result is really good. So I'm really happy for the team. And yeah, thank you guys.
Because you mentioned it earlier, I just had a look at the tires and myself. I'm not an expert, but you mentioned it and they're really looking good. Yeah, I saw that. But did you have a little bit of time catching up the atmosphere in front of the stands? The people here are very crazy. It's a huge crowd. What did you get by race?
Yeah, it's here in Jarama, it's always really, really great. Except one time when I unfortunately pushed Antonio, then they didn't really like me at that year. But other than that, I think they are really, really nice fans and really love truck racing. And you know, the atmosphere is really nice. You can hear the people cheering and everything. Also, when the Spanish Championship going on between our races. So yeah, yeah, I really like to be here and love the fans and love the whole atmosphere. I mean, this section with the fans and this stadium, like the layout is really, really nice.
The best is yet to come, up to the podium. Congratulations, Norbert Kish.
Quick word there with Norbert Kish expressing his likeness of the Jarama circuit. Here is how they finished for the first race of the weekend. 24-minute race time to complete 12 laps of the Jarama circuit. Norbert Kish took top honours for the first time this weekend. Then it's Sacha Lenz taking third, Jochen Hahn rounding out your podium. Home favourite Antonio Albacete finished in fourth place after battling away with Adam Lachko race long. And it was Andre Kurzim, René Reiner, Steffi Helm, Anthony Janiek and Shane Brereton after a drive-through penalty crossed the line 39 seconds away from Norbert in 10th place. So only one Freightliner finished as well, of course, because we saw a retirement in the first lap of the race for Teo Calvet and then a little later on Alia Kolach. Jose Rodriguez finished in 11th place, then followed by Stefan Faas and Jamie Anderson, with Luke Garrett finishing in 14th place. In a few moments' time, we will have the podium celebrations taking place, both the overall podium and then the chrome podium as well for the Goodyear Cup. So we'll see that in just a few moments' time. Brereton took the win in the chrome class, followed by Rodriguez, and it was Stefan Faas in what was 12th place overall. You can see Stefan there just having a quick chat with Jochen Hahn. Goodyear caps applied. Onto the podium comes Jochen Hahn. Third place, a very well-driven race from Jochen. Didn't really have much to throw at Sacha Lenz, but Sacha Lenz takes to the podium for the second step. Then the race winner from the first time this weekend, it's Norbert Kish. No surprise there, very quick throughout the whole race, quick in qualifying, quick in the race, and very much a fan favourite as well. Norbert Kish takes to the top step of the podium. And now it's time for the national anthem of the winning driver.
So another victory for Norbert Kish, 9 victories this season.
So Norbert Kish on the top step of the podium. That is now his 11th top 3 of the season. So very well done to Norby. And as the media gets their opportunity to take photos of the drivers with their trophies held aloft, Goodyear Cups, Goodyear hats worn, and you can see there Jochen Hahn delighted with 3rd place, Sascha Lenz delighted with 2nd, and once again Norbert Kish top step of the podium. What can anybody do to stop him from getting there? He's been so quick throughout the entire season. There's just nothing that anybody can throw at him. In a few moments' time, the drivers will be allowed to spray their champagne and celebrate with each other and their team, of course. Media just getting their final few opportunities to take their photos for social media and their various links throughout the world, of course, here at the FIA ETRC. And there is no champagne on the podium. Sascha Lenz showing off his slight bereavement with that one. Jochen Hahn not as happy either. And as the top 3 drivers work their way off the podium, a final wave from Norbert Kish. In a few moments' time, the Goodyear Cup will have its podium as well. The first driver to take to the podium will be Stefan Faas, just as we get the Goodyear Cups placed on the podium as well. You can see just how busy it is down in the paddock. Norbert Kish mentioned that through the stadium section of the circuit, the first sector all through Nuvolari, Fangio, Varzi, Le Mans and Farina, very close section of the circuit, and the fans seem to flock towards that area. He said he can even hear the fans in the cockpit of his 13-litre single-turbo race truck. So very, very loud here at JARAMA, and it's great to see just the amount of support that the drivers do get from the spectators. But taking to the 3rd step of the podium is Stefan Faas, finishing 3rd place in the Goodyear Cup. 2nd place on the podium will be Jose Rodriguez, the Portuguese driver. And winning the Goodyear Cup for the first time this weekend is Shane Brereton after a very hard-fought race. Takes to the podium now. And Shane Brereton, after battling away with Rodriguez and Faas, does manage to take to the top step of the podium. Now it's time for the national anthem of the winning driver. So, the national anthem played, Goodyear caps worn, and the drivers will raise their trophies aloft, and the media will get their opportunity to get some brilliant photos of the Goodyear Cup podium. So it's Shane Brereton that won the Goodyear Cup for the first time this weekend. Then it's Jose Rodriguez in 2nd, with Stefan Faas joining them on the podium. In 3rd place, it would be Jamie Anderson that would have taken to the podium, but unluckily, after the drive-through penalty, he had dropped right the way down to 13th place. So now we have what I do believe is potentially another podium on the way, but we do have the highlights even sooner. So it's Norbert Kish that led everybody in towards turn 1. Or so we thought. It was a great start from Sascha Lenz, starting on the outside of the front row. Then we saw contact a little bit further back. I think it was Andre Kurzum just elbowing very slightly Jose Rodriguez towards the gravel. Luke Garrett had a bit of an issue through the gravel as well. Then it was 3 wide at some point. We saw Heinrich Clementeca head towards the gravel as well. Very early retirement from Teo Calvé with an electrical issue. He did manage to get that truck returning to the pit lane. The yellow flag's retrieved, and we were allowed to go racing in that section of the circuit once again. All over the gravel went Adam Lachko in his attempt to defend from Andre Kurzum, and we saw this race-long battle between Jamie Anderson and René Reiner, always nose to tail. The battle for 3rd place really started hotting up, but then very quickly dissipated as well. Jochen Hahn seemed to find another gear and just leave Antonio Albacete and Adam Lachko battling away. You can see that gap very quickly starting to build indeed. They battled from as soon as they found each other right the way till the end of the race. Back to the mid-pack, we saw Anthony Janiak and Shane Brereton nose to tail, Stefan Faas helping him along, and the recovering Jose Rodriguez desperate to try and make up a few more places after losing them all on the first lap of the race, elbowing his way up the inside of Stefan Faas. Couldn't quite get the move done, but that was the first attempt of many. Anthony Janiak slowly started to build that gap away from Shane Brereton, but one mistake later, they were once again nose to tail. A final battle between Adam Lachko and Antonio Albacete brought yet more damage to the front end of the Bigera Freightliner, and they remained nose to tail right the way until the end of the race. Once again in towards turn one, very close side by side, and it looked like Adam Lachko might get the move done all the way around the outside, but once again he couldn't quite get the move done around the tail end of Antonio Albacete. But for the first time this weekend at Jarama, it was Norbert Kish taking the win, Sascha Lenz finishing in second, and Jochen Hahn finishing in a lonely third. The fans absolutely loved that race, and it's only going to get closer as the weekend wears on. Then it was home favourite Antonio Albacete, followed then by Adam Lachko.
Weekend this is for Shane Brereton, and it's just Saturday, but during free practice you hit the barriers. I hope you're all right then. That's my first question. How do you feel? And second, we were going to talk about this win, but first of all, your healthy condition.
Yeah, I was nervous in qualifying. We were unfortunate. We had a spring break halfway through the corner at about 150k, and then I was, no longer steering the wheel basically, and it could have been worse. And my boys, they've done an absolute excellent job. I think the FIA have put a speeded up camera, and you can see how fantastic they are. It's a credit to them, and I got to thank them for this really. So.
Yes, we surely put it up, the speed camera, so you can check this out at the qualifying if you want to see the pictures of it again. Speaking of the race, because this is a circuit, you knew you're going to enter the corner as well. I mean, how is that psychologically for you to enter the first race then?
Well, the start I had, I think, was probably the best start I've had this season. I absolutely done loads of trucks, but I knew that the first couple corners are be careful. So I just managed to give myself plenty of room, not be too forceful, but forceful enough, and it panned out really good. I had an overheating problem, so I had to back off a little bit and just look after, and just managed to keep Rodriguez at bay on the last corner. I think come the next corner he'd have been in front, but we'd done enough to get where we had to get.
So do you see that truck racing is a lot of tactics then as well? Jamie Anderson got a drive-through penalty. How did you see that, or is that the team telling you that on the intercom?
I saw it. For some reason the intercom didn't work. I only had it on the start. But I read the flags as well. Jamie probably hit a marker, and I can only assume. It was very difficult to avoid the markers. There were certain corners that were drifting you out, and you just had to back off a little bit. I think he was unlucky there. He drove really good. I had a bird's eye view. He drove really tight. It was just unfortunate for him.
So congratulations. We will see you back then ahead of race 2, of course, and now time to rest a bit. Thank you very much. So this is just after race 1. What incidents we got. We had Shane Brereton, and we saw also Stefan Faas on the podium, and remember that he was driving with a broken windscreen. So a lot of things are going to happen here at Jarama, and we hope to see you soon ahead of race 2. This is the paddock right now. All the autograph hunters are back there. They're trying to get some photos and some pictures. So this is day 1 after race 1. Lots of truck racing coming up again, so hope to see you soon then.